Good morning, security gang. Welcome back to the CyberHub Podcast. My name is James Azar. I'm the host of the CyberHub Podcast. I'm also a Chief Information Security Officer and cybersecurity practitioner by trade. We've got a busy show for all y'all today, Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. Let's get right into it. But before we do that, before we get started with the show, because if you haven't checked out cyberhubpodcast.com, you should. 100%. Don't miss out. Exclusive articles there, including breaking the status quo, the unknowns of AI adoptions, and so much more. Exclusive content only available there. Now, join me to power through today's episode with my double espresso coffee cup. Cheers, y'all. Let me get a cup of coffee in the morning. Well, an espresso, or as my little guy will say, espresso. I taught him that. It's good. It's amazing. All right, we'll kick off with, look, I have a tolerance for cyber attacks. I do. But don't mess with my favorite beer. Y'all now know what my favorite beer is. The Asahi group holding on Monday announcing that they've had to pause operations in the country after being disrupted by a cyber attack. The incident the company is saying resulted in system failures that affected orders and shipments to all its subsidiaries in the country, as well as call center operations and customer service desks included. Reuters reported that the production at some 30 domestic factories have been suspended due to the cyber attack. Asahi said they're investigating the attack and are working on restoring affected systems, but could not provide an estimated timeline for recovery. After the show, I will be running to the liquor store and buying all their Asahi. I wonder if there'd be a similar run on the beer as there was on toilet paper during COVID. A little bit of humor, dry humor maybe. Because maybe you don't enjoy Asahi beer. I love it. It's one of my favorite beers. It literally really is. The company has not disclosed the nature of the attack it fell through, although this types of attacks almost always point to ransomware. And remember, in manufacturing, IT and OT intersect, meaning if you hit the IT system, then you're likely going to cripple the OT operations. And then spinning up OT operations takes a whole lot longer than spinning up IT operations, which could take, hours or days based on maturity. OT operations really does take weeks, and we're seeing that with JLR in the UK, and now Asahi here. Asahi has not commented on this, but they're one of the largest breweries in Japan. They also own several known international beer brands like Grolsch, Peroni, and Pilsner Urquell, as well as Fuller's in the UK, which produces London Pride. While the disruption is currently confined to one country, Asahi has a significant market share in Japan, almost at 40%. So it'll likely cost them some business and material impact on the company. A Chinese scammer has pled guilty after the UK seized nearly $4 billion in Bitcoins in what's the largest recovery of Bitcoin to date. The Chinese national is accused of running a fraudulent investment scheme, pleaded guilty in a London court on Monday after UK police seized nearly $7 billion worth of Bitcoins during a raid of her home in North London. Her name is Zimin Qian. She's 47 years old. She ran a large fraud ring scheme in China through her company, Tianjin Lentin Jewelry Electronic Technology, offering people investment products and promising outlandish returns of 300%. One of the challenges of communism is if something sounds too good to be true, you're likely to believe it because you still believe government can run your life effectively. So that being said, the people in there have fallen victim to it. The Metro Police says that Kieran ran the fraud between 2014 and 2017, stealing billions of dollars for more than 128,000 victims. She stored stolen money in Bitcoin and fled China for the UK using a fake passport from the St. Kitts and Nevis. After entering the UK in September of 2018, she partnered with another woman, Jian Wen, to launder the money by purchasing lavish properties and running other businesses. On October 2018, a raid by the UK police uncovered several laptops holding keys to 61,000 Bitcoins, which is now worth around 6.9 billion. The Met Police says it is believed to be the single largest crypto seizure in the world. That is 100% true. So hopefully the victims of that crime in communist China will get some of their hard-earned money back once this money is uh, recovered, which it has been, and then spread out to those victims. Threat actors claiming to represent the Medusa ransomware gang tempted a BBC correspondent to become an insider threat by offering a significant amount of money. Cybersecurity correspondent Joe Tidy revealed the story on BBC, saying that the attackers wanted to use his laptop to breach the BBC network and then ask for a ransom. Once they got access to the BBC's internal systems, the threat actors plan to steal valuable data, hold the organization at ransom. At least 50% of the paid ransom would go to Tidy for providing initial access. You now know a little bit about cybercrime. Tidy said he was contacted in July over Signal by a cyber criminal named Syndicate, who initially offered him 15% of the paid ransom if he provided Medusa access to the BBC systems. They later tried to sweeten the offer with an additional 10%, saying their team could demand a ransom in the tens of millions if they successfully infiltrated the corporation. It's continued its attempts to lower Tidy to their side, that their team could demand a ransom in the tens of millions. He could walk away with 25% of that. Medusa, as an operation that emerged in January of 2021, gained a reputation with double extortion attempts. CISA published a report on Medusa in March of this year, attributing the gang to more than 300 attacks on critical infrastructure. Tidy reported that the alleged ransomware group representative promised anonymity if he helped, citing several past cases that made headlines, which they claimed involved a rogue insider giving Medusa easy access to the target network. Underpaid, disgruntled, or simply unethical staff could do just that, showing you the insider threat to still be one of those bigger threats we encounter as cybersecurity practitioner. Threat actors know it. They'll target specific people within the org, disgruntled people, potentially people with the ability to give them access, and then they will use that. Those people will take it. And we don't think anything more of it. And if the claim here is true, which it may or may not be, again, you got to take it at face value. You can imagine that if you're a practitioner or an IR team and you read this, you go, we worked one of these cases. I wonder if we missed something. You may go back and look at those records, as you should. A nonprofit blood supplies provider, 250 hospitals in 4 states by the name of OneBlood, has agreed to pay a $1 million settlement to a proposed class action litigation filed after a ransomware attack in 2024 compromised the information of 170,000 individuals. The preliminary settlement with OneBlood, approved by the Broward County, Florida Circuit Court, affected individuals who can claim up to $2,500 to cover documented losses or choose a cash payment of $60. The final hearing is set for December 9th. So there's another settlement there. We move from breaches to vulnerabilities, where Broadcom announcing patches for 6 vulnerabilities affecting VMware's Aria operations and affects vCenter and VMware tools products, including 4 high-severity flaws. Both Aria operation and VM tools are impacted by the high-severity local privilege escalation bug that's CVE 2025-41244. Patches have also been rolled out for medium-severity issues in VMware Aria operations that could allow attackers to disclose the credentials of other users, and the high-severity defect in tools for Windows that could allow attackers to access other guest VMs. That's CVE 2025-41246 and 41245. Fixes for those vulnerabilities were included in Aria Operations 8.18.5, Cloud Foundation and vSphere Foundation versions 9.0.1.0 and 13.0.5.0, and VMware Tools 13.0.5 and 12.5.4, and Telco Cloud Infrastructure versions 8.18.5 and 8.18.5. Why would you put that twice? And why did I read it twice? Because I'm on auto read. I'm kidding. All right. We continue with researchers discovering what has been described as the first ever instance of a MSP protocol server spotted in the wild, raising software supply chain risks, according to Koi Security. The legitimate-looking developer managed to slip in a rogue code within an NPM package called Postmark MCP that copied an official Postmark Labs library of the same name. The malicious functionality was introduced in version 1.0.16, which was released on September 17th, so just 2 weeks ago. The actual Postmark MCP library, available on GitHub, exposes an MCP server that allows users to send emails access and use email templates, track campaigns using AI assistance. The NPM package in question has since been deleted by the NPM by the developer Fonpack and uploaded it to the repo on September 15th and maintains 31 other packages. Some versions, it's been quietly copying every email to the developer personal server, according to Idan Dartaman, the Koi Security CTO. This is the world's first sighting of a real-world malicious MCP server. The attack surface for endpoint supply chain attacks is slowly becoming the enterprise's biggest attack surface. That is also true there. CISA adding more and more vulnerabilities to its KEF catalog. This time, 5 new security flaws that are confirmed to be under active exploitation. The newly listed vulnerabilities spanning critical systems like databases, network operation systems, email gateways, and FTP platforms include several CVEs. The first one is the server-side request forgery vulnerability that affects the adminer versions 4.0.0 to just 4.7.9, and that's CVE 2021-21311. CVE 2025-20352 is the Cisco iOS XE stack-based buffer overflow. We talked about that on the show last week. CVE 2025-10035, the Go Anywhere MFT deserialization vulnerability that's impacting the Go Anywhere MFT version 0 through 7.8.3, and this has a CVSS score of a perfect 10. CVE 2025-59er, this impacts the Libra Seva email security gateway, allowing attacker to inject and execute shell commands via improperly sanitized email attachments. CVE 2025-32463, the pseudo privilege escalation via untrusted control sphere. This impacts the Unix and Linux systems, and it's vulnerable from versions 1.9.14 to 1.9.17 P1. So you want to make sure you get those addressed, as CISA added them, meaning they're under active exploitation. Researchers also flagging a previously undocumented Android banking Trojan called That's Bro that can conduct device takeover attacks and perform fraudulent transactions by preying on the elderly. Dutch mobile security company Threat Fabric said it discovered the campaign in August of this year after users in Australia reported scammers managing Facebook groups promoting active senior trips. Some of the other territories targeted by the threat actors included Singapore, Malaysia, Canada, South Africa, and the UK. The campaigns it added specifically focused on elderly people looking for social activities, trips, in-person meetings, and similar events. Those Facebook groups have been found to share AI-generated content claiming to organize various activities for seniors. The fake website prompts visitors to install a so-called community application, claiming it would allow them to register for events, connect with members, and even track scheduled activities. Interestingly, the websites have been found to contain a placeholder link to download an iOS application, indicating the attackers are looking to target both the mobile operating systems, distributing test flight apps for iOS, and trick victims into downloading them, and people wouldn't be any of the wiser. Some of the Android apps that have been found distributing it are right here on the screen, and we'll have those available at cyberhubpodcast.com after the show. Global cybersecurity agencies are urging critical infrastructure operators to build a full picture of their OT environments, although an analyst cautioned that mapping every corner of sprawling's decades-old network may prove harder in practice. It's very, very difficult. Someone who's been in energy for the last 3 years, I can tell you that's no easy task. Not every tool discovers everything. It takes time to discover everything in your environment. Some stuff pings every second, some stuff pings once a week, some stuff pings once a month, and some stuff pings every 180 days. And so mapping it is a lifelong project in some cases. Guidance backed by the UK NCSC and CISA and other allied partners, cyber agencies are detailing a principles-based framework for creating and maintaining a definitive record of OT environments. It's calling on operators of power grids, water systems, and factories to catalog their assets by criticality, documenting system connectivity, validating and maintaining records through structured change management, and rigorously managing third-party access and contextual risk. So, again, significant stuff here, but I will say the shift is part of some of the updates we've seen to NIST 882 and some others as well. So OT systems documentation, really, really important, very difficult to do, not easy. It's a long task. It's grueling. You've got to validate. It is in person. You really got to look at the devices in person and see them. And in some cases, those devices are 7 versions back. So you have that as well. So keeping that in mind. All right, we might be heading for a government shutdown if you haven't watched the news, which good for you. The bill has stalled in the Senate as Democrats object to the clean continuing resolution, extend the government until November 21st, which would give enough time for appropriations to work on the next budget year. It appears that Democrats are hellbent on shutting down the government. If that's the case, CISA estimates that 65% of their workforce would be furloughed as part of the shutdown that, if it goes, will happen tonight at midnight. And so tomorrow we might be facing government shutdown. So CISA, which is, still waiting to get their director confirmed, because one senator, Ron Wyden, is still holding things up. Now has to deal with the Democrats bringing an unnecessary and pointless shutdown. Pointless because the extension, which I've read here on the show, is 100% just keep the government running. But all right, it is what it is. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. Governor Gavin Newsom of California signed a law that aims to prevent people from using powerful AI models for potentially catastrophic activities like bioweapon and shutting down a bank system. Newsom touting California as the leader in AI regulation. Well, first of all, you have a super majority. You pass whatever y'all want. This law will be superseded by a federal bill, which will likely come at some point next year. So, and the fact that we're passing a law here that says you can't use it. Okay, we all knew that. So you can't use AI to do that. What does this really do? The legislation does require AI companies to implement and disclose public safety protocols to prevent their most advanced models from being used to cause major harm. I've yet to meet one AI company that wants to do that, but I've got it there. California just passing laws without any sort of consideration. Companies would have to report to the state any critical safety incidents within 15 days. The law creates a whistleblower protection for AI workers and establishes a public cloud for researchers. It also includes $1 million fine per violation. There it is. So this bill did draw opposition from some tech companies, which argued that AI legislation should be done at the federal level. Anthropic said the regulations are practical safeguards that make official the safety practices many companies are already doing voluntarily. Again, 100% true, yet should come from the federal level. We don't need 50 AI laws, just as a general rule of thumb. All right, folks. One quick thing. Here's a message from our friends over at ThreatLocker. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Worry no more. You can harden your security with our friends at ThreatLocker. Imagine taking a proactive, deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity, blocking every action, process, and user unless specifically authorized by your team. ThreatLocker helps you do this and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based support team. Stop the exploitation of trusted applications within your organization to keep you running efficiently and secure, protected from ransomware. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance for your organization, visit threatlocker.com/cyberhub. That's threatlocker.com/cyberhub. All right, y'all. Go check out our friends over at ThreatLocker. Tomorrow, we'll be back here at 9 a.m. Eastern live with the latest. No show on Thursday. It's Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement for us, the Jewish folk. So we'll be spending the day, not the day, we start fasting Wednesday night, tomorrow night, all the way through Thursday night. About 25 hours more or less is what it typically always adds up to. No food, no drink, no showers, no anything. Just one-on-one with the Almighty. So no show on Thursday, and then we'll be back again on Friday. We'll be back again on Monday. So tomorrow, then Monday. Till then, have a great rest of your day, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and most importantly, stay cyber.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.